What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
And I'm Jason.
You're what the hell was that? You're listening to Liquid Carnage.
I
I'm
was about
sorry,
ready to
man.
say ho ho ho
You, you,
because obviously Christmas is right around the corner.
you
So
you
I
know,
was going to do my ho 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 impression, but then I kind of got lost in my normal,
l-
and I'm Jason, and then
l-
I totally screwed it up. So
you literally told me in the pre-show conversation, no Christmas talk. You're
I
burnt
know,
out.
and then I was like,
You
ho
can't even make
ho
it 2 seconds into
ho.
the show, and
Oh,
and you're pulling this.
I know. Oh
Oh,
well.
man, I feel like now my game's thrown off. Like I don't know what to.
Well, and our executive producer does such a great job every week of talking through the mistakes and some of the hiccups that we've had on the podcast. And last week he said it best. He goes, "Didn't we already talk about this topic?" And it made me feel okay. I got to stay away from anything with Christmas. We're going to stay away from it.
Yeah, and then you lead
And
with
then
it.
I mess up and go ho ho ho.
You just go right in. You just went straight for the ho 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 when that was a big no no no.
I
So
know.
it's fine though. We can recover from this.
Isn't
We
that
can.
like that Amy Winehouse song? They want to take me to rehab, and I said no,
No,
no, no.
man, you're gonna karaoke that next time
Oh,
karaoke.
yeah, on Santa Sack. That sounds like a good one. I could do
Uh,
that.
I don't need to be a Santa sack again, but
Hey, well, we'll make.
next time we're in the valley and out doing some karaokeing, I feel like you should do a lounge style version of Rehab by the late Amy Winehouse.
Well, Dave MF Watson has already introduced us to the local watering hole / karaoke place. So we've already got it lined up. When you're ready to do some karaoke, we've got a great place for it.
Oh
Cheap
well,
drinks, kind of that Kingman vibe, like the oh gosh, the place that
fireside,
we always Fireside.
fireside, yeah.
Yeah, Fireside. It's got karaoke, so we already got the place lined up for us.
Oh, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to make that happen sometime soon. We got
That-
a little bit of time coming up before things start to pick up in the new year, so I think we could
yeah.
definitely work something out.
Good.
So
Good.
how are you, my friend? Aside from in and out of the Christmas spirit.
I want to get some of my venting out of the way from the very beginning of this show because, as most of you know, Scott and I are kind of active fantasy football players. And while I would not be able to say that I have the same success as Scott does in terms of winning losing record, this year I've actually made the playoffs in one league that's a money league, and I, was kind of excited. And a lot of my success this year was based on the fact that I had a really good quarterback / receiver in Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins.
Had
Well,
optimal
of course,
phrase
DeAndre
is had.
Hopkins got hurt last week, so the next man up should have been AJ Green.
Mm-hmm.
My thought process, and I'm coupling that with now I'm thinking I've got a really good matchup because we are playing the lowly worst team in football, Detroit Lions. So I saw what the Rams did against the Detroit Lions. They scored on every possession, 39-10 or something like that. So I thought, oh man, this is going to be perfect. I'm going to win my fantasy football playoff game. And
Sorry,
because of
pal.
the Cardinals, Detroit is no longer the worst team in football because the Cardinals decided, maybe I'll just stay on the plane and
Well,
not show up at the stadium.
honestly, I think Jacksonville's always been the worst team. They've got more dysfunction going on. Yes, Detroit's bad, but I feel like they're actually building something with that coach there that's going to be a problem for the North if they ever figure out their quarterback situation.
Needless to say, that's great. Except I needed the Cardinals to do what they've been doing all year long, and they decided to not do it when I needed them to. They did it on games when I didn't need them. That was
Yeah, well,
nice.
that's
On games I
perfect.
don't need them, they decide, oh, I'll score 1,000 points. But the game I need them to do something is the game they hit. Jason, I don't want to break your record of never winning a playoff game in this money league, so I'm going to just stay home on the plane.
Well, that's Murphy's law right there. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong, right?
I guess. I don't know how you're so calm. Your team may not even make the playoffs the way they're playing.
Oh, I'm used to it.
Good Lord.
I mean,
Hey, with all due respect, they're not winning that division. They
no,
are not winning their division.
I agree. I mean, it's on a
I
silver.
looked at their last 3 games, and they're not. If they get one of those 3, they'll be in good shape, I think.
Well, they just need one of those 3 to get into the playoffs, and that's getting to be harder and harder the way everyone else in our division's playing. So, yeah, trust me, I get it. I'm just used to it by now.
Okay.
You know,
Wow.
I was a very frustrating day for me to watch that game. You know, this, by the way, it's not the topic we're talking about today, but since we're on the topic, yeah, it was very frustrating. Um, and you could tell it was going to be one of those games from the opening drive, a 9-minute drive by one of the worst teams in the league. That's never a good sign.
Oh, and then followed by a 3 and out.
Yeah,
Let's not forget that. It was followed by a 3 and out.
yeah. So you know, you kind of used to that, and what bothered me more about the game is that I had a lot of people that just wouldn't leave me alone about the game. Like
What do you mean?
you know, they kept bothering me in the middle of the game. Like I had people like texting me out of the blue, "You all right? This game's bad." I was like, I get it's bad, but I don't fucking text you when your team's doing shitty against a bad team. Like, leave me alone. Like, just watch the game. We don't know what's gonna happen. I don't need to have anyone's commentary on it or checking on me. Like, I'm fine. You know,
I
I'm
think at this point, for our audience and our listeners, please note that the one person who respected you, maybe it's because I know you so well and didn't reach out to you,
mhm.
was me.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I knew that it was I knew that what you were watching was probably not making you like, oh wow, okay, it's a close game, or oh my gosh, okay, this we it was like, I don't understand what I'm seeing here. This is pissing me
yeah.
off.
So yeah, in fairness, like there's a few people I talk to every week during the games. Like I talked to our EP, I talked to my brother, I talked to JP. There's a few here and that I talk to on a regular basis, but man, I tell you what, it was just one of those frustrating. It's like I'm just trying to watch. That was the one day I go to Chili's to watch the games. This is the one day everybody at Chili's had something to say to, and it's kind of like this, man. Just watch the game. Just enjoy the people you're with. Watch the game. Leave me be. That's all I'm asking. Just kind of one of those days.
Yeah, well, and then of course people just don't respect it, and it's almost like then they start talking crap, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And I will
So
say the nice thing is like no one was talking shit to me about it. Like, oh, your team sucks. No one was saying that. They were more or less, asking if I'm okay, which is it's a very sweet sentiment, which I don't want that coming off sounding as bad. Like I was being bothered by people doing a welfare check on me because at the end of the day, this is just a game. Like life does go on. You know.
oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
You know.
Let's say life does go on. Um, yeah. So I guess if we're talking about things life going on, as you well know, Scott, but I'll tell our audience, I did my civic duty recently.
You did. I'm very proud of you for what you did because
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
did
a
my
very
civic duty, and not to get too crazy on the discussion, but I definitely wanted to let people know that Jason sometimes does civic duty, and actually something positive comes out of it. Recently, I was alerted to a press release that was released by the city of Kingman talking about how they had received a grant from the federal government to help the municipal airport with basically to overcome some of the costs of COVID that the airport has had to dole out over the last year or so toward, like a grant to kind of help with that funding.
yeah.
And I was really happy because I'm a former Kingman community member, but I still look at Kingman kind of the same way I still look at like I used to watch the Oklahoma City Thunder because they were the team that used to be the Seattle Supersonics, and Kevin Durant was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics, and then the next year they moved to Oklahoma. So even though I'm not an Oklahoma City fan of any stretch, I followed the team kind of
Mhm.
the same way. I thought just kind of keep up on them. I get happy when I see good things. Well, one of the things, though, that I was reading in the press release that was put out by the city was that the mayor wanted to thank Representative Paul Gosar for his continued support on this grant money that they received. And I was like, that's odd because the bill that gave the money the ability to be given to the city of Kingman, Representative Gosar voted against. So it seems a little odd to be giving someone credit for a
Yeah.
bill that he didn't vote for.
This is very odd. Very odd.
Now,
Very
the
very
press
uninformed.
and the press release did not even give any sort of indication that that it really truly made it sound like that. Yeah, no, that this is something that he did and he arranged it and everything else. So I decided that I didn't like the feeling and taste in my mouth. So I wrote an email to the mayor of Kingman, And I just said, "Hey, I'm really excited as a former Kingmanite. I'm really excited about the opportunities that came out of this, and how you got the grant money for this critical relief. I am a little perplexed, though, why you're giving Representative Gosar any credit for this. He actually voted against the bill that provided you with the grant funding. You know, I'm sure that Representative Gosar is a proponent of anything for Kingman, but to give him credit for something that if he had his way, it would have failed and you would have gotten nothing. It just seems inappropriate for you to give him credit for that.
which is fair.
And frankly, if you're going to give any credit, why don't you give credit to the countless congressmen and women, all from other states, mind you, who voted for this legislation? Sure enough, the next day I got an email back from the mayor indicating, I appreciate your statement. I was ill, and I didn't do my due diligence on the press release that I normally do when I review the press release. I see where there is inconsistency with the statement, and I have rewritten the press release from Kingman to acknowledge that I thanked Kirsten Sinema and Mark Kelly, but I recognize that while Representative Gosar voted no to the funding, we Kingman still appreciates his previous and continued support.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a former Kingman member. I'm not a member of the community,
Mm-hmm.
but I give the mayor, no matter what you think of the mayor, I give her a lot of credit because that was pretty decent of her to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a very stand-up move. I'll give her credit for that. Yeah.
And the other thing I would also I recognized is the way that you worded it. It did not take away from his previous work that he's done for the city of Kingman or his future work for the city of Kingman. All it did was point out that Representative Gosar voted against the funding that you would have gotten. So I did my civic duty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a drink, and it started getting me really pissed though.
Yeah.
It started getting me really pissed, and like Paul Gosar voted against funding, and here you're trying to take credit for something that you voted against. Like,
Yes.
how lame are you? And see, most people don't even. I don't even think most people would even put two things together to say that that happened.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to go that far into it. It's especially in this area. Uh, it's a very heavily red part of our state, and there's deep ties with Representative Gosar, which sadly his reputation, while never the best, has only gotten worse over the last year, which has become an embarrassment for our district. But that's another story for another time. Um, People blindly just look at the R's or the D's next to their names and want them to vote party lines more than do the research to find out what their communities could benefit from things like this that pass. It makes sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. What I get frustrated with is this kind of irks me to a point where now I want to research every single dollar that's ever come to Kingman, like Havasu, Bullhead, and find out if Paul Gosar ever voted a yay for those funds to be delivered to those areas. Because I get the sneaking suspicion that if I were to really dive in and review his voting records, I bet every single dollar that comes to Mojave and Pinell County, is that Pinell County that he represents? Prescott and
The Yavapai.
oh, Yavapai County. Thank you. Yavapai County and Mojave County. I bet you 10 to 1 that every single dollar that's come is from a bill that he voted against.
There's
And if
probably
that's the case, then screw you, Gosar. Why are you taking credit for things that you had nothing to do with?
that's
Nothing to do with.
that's the government way. And there's a lot of that going on right now in the government. And I read a comment today that I thought was very timely with everything because the Build Back Better bill is in the middle of being debated and there's within our Senate, and the representative from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, is basically enjoying being the center of attention because he's the deciding vote at this point. And someone pointed out that if they were smart, they would introduce every piece of the bill individually to the Senate floor and make them vote yay or nay on specific things so people could really see who is voting against, the child tax credit, or who is voting against relief for the seniors, and who's voting for those things at the same points, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wondered on the same thing if they would ever enact a policy that said if you voted against the spending bill that ultimately passed, your district doesn't get any of the funds associated with that bill.
Yeah. And sadly that would hurt a lot of districts in the country, but honestly, that's how you get people to pay attention to what's going on and actually pay attention to who's representing them and their best interests.
Yeah, well, and I think also, like, I mean, this thing with the represent or the senator from West Virginia, your no vote affects a lot of rural areas, Kingman included.
Yeah.
So, you think that you're voting for your district. No, your vote ultimately is going to impact every single family with children, every single family with young children that are in daycare, every single rural area that's looking to improve their infrastructure, with bills, for jobs, and it's going to impact every single one of us. And for you not to be able to even justify, I mean, it sounds like from what I've read, he made kind of a commitment that he was going to do something, and then
He fled.
blamed the White House for not doing something, and so that's why he's voting against. And it's like, huh, then maybe West Virginia doesn't deserve any of the monies, because West Virginia as a state is flush with monies. I mean, they have one of the richest citizenries in the United States.
Really?
No, they're at the bottom of most of the social grades with where it comes to education, poverty, um, drug use. West Virginia is one of the states that would probably benefit the most from a passage of a bill that focuses money to rural areas.
Yeah, but I think this,
And
this is a clear case of someone is having their puppet strings pulled by the major donors of his area, which are probably the coal mining companies and the
well,
people
his
that would.
family, I guess, owns a coal mine too. So his millions that he earns comes from the money from the coal mine. So I understand that. Then just be honest and say, look, I can't vote for any bill that's going to damage my personal interests.
Well, I had read that his daughter's also the president of the Pfizer corporation, so um, that goes a long way with a lot of this too. I'm sure.
Oh man.
So obviously, once you start getting to that level of government, the donor base and lobbyists start muddying the water, and what you would think would be common sense, they start making really dumb excuses for the reasons they do things. And Kristen Sinema has been a big problem with that too. I think it's been her and Joe Manchin for the majority of this last year who have been causing the most waves by refusing to cooperate and do what's better, or do what's best, I guess, for the the country, or maybe worse for the country. It depends what side of the fence you're on. So, it's very frustrating, and I can appreciate not voting on just strictly party line because you actually believe in the bill for whatever reason, or you believe that there's things in the bill that you just can't get behind. But if you can't properly fact check and back up your comments, like in this case, you not only do you lose credibility with your constituents and the people of this country, but man, you put this country behind the eight ball in a time where we're already behind enough eight balls in so many other ways.
Well, and I mean, I guess that's one thing. I guess with the Republican Party, there is unity. That they vote together. Even though most of those senators, Republican senators, come from rural areas like Kentucky. You've
Yeah,
got the leader, the senator, speaker of the Senate,
the minority speaker. Yeah,
the minority speaker of the Senate, and one of these hawkish senators representing one of the poorer communities in the United States, and you vote down everything that'll help your community improve,
on
but then
principle.
you want help when your community gets wiped out by disasters, and then you beg and plead for help. Well, Why? Well, you don't care about your community. You don't care about the people of your community.
Yeah.
Every time you vote down a bill that's supposed to fund the community and you vote it down, you shouldn't get any of that money then. You shouldn't get that. Why would you? Why do your people deserve it?
This is the same argument as to why there should be term limits in the Senate. This is why we have a fundamentally broken system. And I always have to laugh when everyone screams that America is the greatest democracy in the world. Um, I don't think that's the case. I think anybody that really pays attention to what goes on over there realizes that we're not a democracy. We're controlled by 4 or 5 major companies because they control those senators making the decisions.
Well, and I think I don't know. I mean, I think if some of these congressmen and congresswomen, they don't know anything about politics. They don't know anything about the system at all. So you get elected to a system that you know nothing about. What other job is there where you can be voted in to a pretty powerful position and not know anything about the position?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and like I think of the congresswoman from Colorado, who you're a restaurateur. Like, what the hell do you know about politics?
Oh,
You
the crazy
don't.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know anything. You own a restaurant. I mean, no offense, Paul Gosar, you're a dentist, dude. Like, what the hell do you know about politics?
Well,
You're a dentist.
people
Like,
should pay
stick to dentist work.
people should pay attention in this case too. Like, even Gozar's family's like, you guys shouldn't vote for him. He's a dick. He's dumb. He's a terrible, terrible person. Don't vote for him.
Well, and I guess it does kind of feed into my frustration of if I hadn't written a letter, would the mayor have changed her press release?
No, no, she'd have gone out of better business. She would
She
have
would have
gone.
gone, and I don't know that. So if Mayor of Kingman, if you're listening to this, I don't know. I applaud you for responding to my email so quickly. On the other side, had I not sent the email, would anyone had noticed and sent something to the mayor to say, hey, your press release is giving credit to someone who voted against your bill. You might want to change that. I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe not. Um, but so those are my only two pet peeves. I'm so sorry. I had to get those out. I'm getting really tired of people taking credit for shit that they had nothing to do with. And I'm getting tired of the football team that I need to perform the most laying a goose egg for me.
yeah, man, I get it.
What are you complaining about, buddy? Right before Christmas, what are you going to complain about?
I'll be honest, man. I don't really have a lot to complain about right now.
Okay.
I've I've vented about my frustrations enough off the air to where I'm actually I have nothing major, knock on wood, that I want to yell, kick, and scream about. I will just on a random note. We recently Janice purchased a Peloton treadmill.
Oh,
That thing is amazing. So
yeah.
instead of talking about grinding gears, I'm gonna talk about something that I'm actually excited for and kind of proud of.
Okay.
Uh, this Peloton treadmill is a game changer, and if you're not a fan of working out from home, I understand, man. It's hard. It's hard to have that motivation, but the Peloton's got a good program. I've heard stories about the bike, and I have some friends that have the bike, and they swear by it. They swear by these classes and whatnot. And I've always kind of kept in the back of my head, like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool. But that's why I've done CrossFit over the last 5, 6 years. To have someone, I want someone to tell me what to do to work out that day. I don't want to just have to figure it out for myself. I need that in me. And what's nice about these classes with this Peloton is you can take a walking class where someone's walking with you and kind of telling you where to adjust to, how fast to adjust to, and kind of talking you through it. So you don't realize how fast that time goes until it's all said and done. Uh,
Okay.
then they have like power walking or hiking or run intervals or, high intensity interval training, which is basically CrossFit classes with weights. They've got stretching, they've got yoga, they got all these different classes. Or if you just want to take a walk, like yesterday morning, I got up at 5 because I couldn't sleep, and I walked through the streets of Seville, Spain. You know,
Wow.
you're just kind of walking through the streets and you're kind of seeing everything, and it's cool though. It's just kind of neat, and it's when it's 28 degrees outside, you don't want to have to bundle up and walk. And I feel like they push me more because I'm trying to keep up with them, and they track you on the side, like who else, like they rank you against who else has done that class. So you can kind of go with that to see, how you stack up against everybody else. And that's kind of another motivating driving factor. So I'm kind of grateful for that because I've gotten a couple of really good workouts out of that so far. So it's
Oh, that's awesome.
for
That's
me,
really
it's
cool.
for
Okay.
me, it's great. I don't know how much
Well,
Janice likes it right now, but you know,
hey, at least it keeps her going. We did have kind of an impromptu experience that we had this last weekend. So last Friday we got invited to go have dinner with Steve and Elena
uh-huh.
from Dean Danielle's friends, Steve and Elena.
Yeah,
And they told us that the airport at Scottsdale has kind of an upscale restaurant associated with the Scottsdale airport.
uh huh,
And they said it was really actually a nice dinner. So they invited us to go to the Scottsdale airport with them. And we went there and the dinner was really, really good. Well, while we were there, they had live music going.
yeah.
And they said, hey, by the way, we're selling helicopter rides for anyone who's interested.
Well, that's cool.
And by goodness, Noreen decided, you know what? I'm interested. And we took a helicopter ride around Camelback Mountain, over Paradise Valley, and then back north, back up. It was only like 15 minutes, but it was at night. So you could see all the Christmas lights. We saw the Phoenician and all their Christmas lights and the big houses in Paradise Valley with all the lights. And I mean, it was a really nice little surprise,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
totally impromptu. We had no plans on doing that. And she said, "Hey, why don't we do this?" I said, "You know what? Let's do it." So we did it.
That's cool, man. I'm glad you
Yeah,
guys.
it
That
was
sounds like a
really
fun time.
yeah, it was kind of a nice surprise. Kind of like Peloton. I never would have thought of getting one, but the way you told the story, maybe that's something to look into because I know that Peloton as a company, stock company. I've been following them, and they've been having a little bit of a tough time because so many people are going back to the gyms, and so
Oh,
during COVID they were like gangbusters,
I thought you were
going
talking about the
crazy.
Sex and the City thing.
No, no, the just the stock itself has the sales have fallen off because so many people have gone back to a gym that
Oh,
they're not working out from home anymore. The
well,
stock,
did you hear about the Sex and the City thing?
no.
So they rebooted Sex and the City. Like, they brought back like the original cast. Whatnot. It's on HBO Max.
Oh,
And the very first episode, I guess the guy who married Sarah Jessica Parker, is a big time character, dies. And
oh,
the whole premise of the first show was Sarah Jessica Parker's character trying to find the love of her life, and this is the guy. She finds him, and now I was reading this article, and she goes off to this thing with her friends, and he's on the Peloton, gets off, and has a heart attack, and
oh, oh
that
no!
made that
Whoops!
made the Peloton stock crash because people started freaking out. It was the
Oh
bike, not the truck.
no!
So Peloton had to, and I guess Ryan Reynolds is a minority investor or whatever, had to come out and say pretty much like, you know, it's a movie or a show. Stop. It's not that bad. Um, you know,
And I
don't
wonder,
worry
do they
about it.
have to? Yeah, do they have to get permission from Peloton to create a scene like that, or do they have to notify a company when they're going to do
Oh,
that? Interesting.
oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. It's just one of those like, huh? Like everybody panicked. Like listen to the panic. It's to add dramatic effect to the show. Like he didn't drop dead on the bike. He
Right.
quickly got to the shower. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
it's not like he's in the middle of pedaling and just keels over. Yeah, then I could see a problem. But so the world freaked out, but it's
Oh
all right.
boy. Okay.
So as we wrap up today's show, if you have something that really grinds your gears or you want to unload on, we're here to listen. It's the holiday season. It's the least we could do. It's our gift to you. You can unload on us. Or if there's something about us you'd just like to unload about, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. Or if you want to unload on our EP Tom, he'd love to unload right back on you. Hit him up on Instagram and Twitter at liquid_EP.
This reminds me of the Seinfeld episode with Festivus because that was the airing of grievances.
Oh, he loves that.
Was
Tom loves
yeah,
that.
yeah, the airing of grievances was one of the parts of Festivus, and I just remember the scene. Now it's the airing of grievances, and I got a lot of problem with you people.
Well, Tom
So,
came home for Christmas a few years back and tried to have Festivus at the house, and he got
oh,
his the pole and the airing of grievances until someone told me.
Did you guys wrestle feats of strength?
No, he didn't want to do feats of strength.
He didn't want to do feats of strength. He knew that Scott was a formidable uh,
opponent.
CrossFit / Peloton walker. So he
before
knew
those,
that was
before those days. Before those days.
Well, thanks for letting me air my grievances, Scotty. I appreciate it.
Hey man, it's the least I could do this holiday season.
Well, that's just it. It's the last episode before Christmas. So we hope everyone has a great Christmas.
Yeah. With that said, Jason, take us home.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Merry Christmas to you all. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid courage.